There are houses you live in, and houses that wait. I learned the difference the night I unlocked the last room. When my wife, Elena, and I bought the place, the realtor hesitated before handing over the keys. Not fear, exactly, more like relief. The house was old, but not historic, isolated, but not abandoned. The kind of place people leave without ever explaining why. It had 6 rooms upstairs, a wide living space, and a narrow hallway that ended in a locked door. The realtor told us it was just storage. The previous owner had requested it remain closed. That should have been enough to walk away. Instead, it felt like a challenge. For 3 months, nothing happened. The house settled around us like a held breath. Floors creaked, pipes knocked, normal sounds that old houses make to remind you they are alive. Elena loved it there, said it felt quiet in a way the city never allowed. I worked late nights from home, often hearing footsteps above me when I knew she was asleep. I blamed the building. I always blamed the building. The first thing I noticed was the smell. It wasn't rot or mold. It was something colder, like metal and damp stone. It came from the hallway at night, strongest near the locked door. Elena said she couldn't smell anything. She said I was tired. She said stress does strange things to perception. I believed her because believing her was easier than standing alone in the dark hallway, staring at a door that felt like it was staring back. Then Elena started waking up somewhere else. Once I found her sitting on the stairs at 3 in the morning, eyes open, breathing shallow. She didn't remember getting there. Another time she woke up in the guest room with dirt under her fingernails. When I asked her how it happened, she laughed too quickly and told me she must have been dreaming about gardening. We didn't have a garden. The house learned us slowly, our routines, our weaknesses. It waited for the moment we stopped questioning and started adapting. That moment came when Elena told me she had been inside the locked room. She said it casually, like mentioning a forgotten errand. She said she found the key in the kitchen drawer. I knew she hadn't. I had searched every drawer, every cabinet, every forgotten box in the basement. There was no key. When I told her that, her face changed. Not fear, confusion, as if I had corrected a memory that didn't belong to her. She said the room was empty, just walls, no furniture, no windows, but she said it felt bigger on the inside. She said the sound of her footsteps didn't echo properly. She said she didn't stay long because the room made her feel observed from behind her own eyes. That night, I dreamed of standing in the hallway, watching myself unlock the door. I woke up with my hand wrapped around a key that wasn't there when I went to sleep. The next morning, the door was open. The room wasn't empty. The walls were scratched with symbols that looked more like wounds than carvings, deep lines, uneven, layered on top of one another like desperate attempts to write something that couldn't be translated. The floor was bare, except for a dark stain in the center. It wasn't blood. It was too old, too absorbed, like the floor had learned to drink it. The air felt wrong, heavy but not thick. It pressed inward rather than down. When I stepped inside, my ears rang softly like distant screaming heard underwater. I turned back immediately. The hallway behind me felt farther away than it should have been. Elena stood at the end of it, watching. She asked why I looked afraid. I told her we should close the room, forget it existed. She smiled at me in a way that didn't reach her eyes and said we couldn't do that anymore. The house
wouldn't allow it. That was the first time she spoke about the house as if it were a person. After that, the changes accelerated. Elena stopped sleeping at night. She started standing in doorways, listening to things I couldn't hear. She spoke less, but when she did, her words felt rehearsed, practiced, like she was repeating lines she'd been given in advance. She started calling the room the quiet place. She said it helped her think. She said it showed her things she had forgotten. I found notes in her handwriting that she couldn't remember writing, pages filled with the same sentence, written again and again until the ink tore through the paper. It needs someone inside. I tried to leave. The car wouldn't start. My phone lost signal the moment I crossed the threshold. Neighbors we had waved to for months pretended not to see me. When I knocked on their doors, no one answered. The house didn't trap us with walls. It trapped us by making the outside forget we existed. The night Elena locked herself in the room, I finally understood. I heard her screaming, but it wasn't fear. It was relief, gratitude. She begged me not to open the door. She told me it was her turn, that the house had been hungry for a long time, that it had been waiting for someone who would listen. I forced the door open anyway. The room had changed. It was no longer a room. The walls stretched into darkness, curving inward like ribs. The floor pulsed beneath my feet. The symbols were moving, rearranging themselves, crawling across the surface like living scars. In the center stood Elena, but she wasn't alone. Shapes pressed against her from all sides, forming and unforming, whispering through mouths that didn't belong to any face. She looked at me and smiled with tears in her eyes. She said the house was built on a place where something had been buried without being finished. It wasn't dead. It wasn't alive. It needed a presence, a mind, a body to anchor it. That every owner before us had fed it someone, whether intentionally or not. A child, a spouse, a stranger who wandered too close. She said she had been chosen because she listened. The floor grabbed my ankles when I tried to reach her. The room tightened, breathing faster. The shape screamed through her voice, telling me one of us had to stay. The house could not be empty again. I did the only thing I could think of. I stepped inside and closed the door behind me. The house screamed, not aloud, through memory, through identity. It peeled my thoughts away, layer by layer, trying to decide which parts were useful. I felt myself fading while Elena collapsed to the floor, unconscious but alive. The room wanted me. It had already started writing my name into its walls. I don't know how long I stayed there. When I woke up, I was on the floor of the hallway. The door was sealed. No keyhole, no handle, just a smooth stretch of wall where it had been. Elena was kneeling beside me, shaking, crying, holding my face like she was afraid I would disappear. We left the house that morning. The neighbors saw us this time. The road opened. The world remembered we existed. Elena doesn't talk about the room anymore, but sometimes, when she thinks I'm asleep, she touches the wall at the end of the hallway in our new home. She listens, and when I ask her what she hears, she tells me it's nothing. I don't tell her that I hear it too. Something knocking, something patient, waiting for us to open the last room again.